The authors have no financial interest in the subject matter of the video. Meet Mrs. Lakshmi. 3 years back, she had injury to her right eye and ended up having corneal opacity in her eye. She has been registered with us and waiting for an optical penetrating keratoplasty. When will her wait end? Mahatma Gandhi once said, "An eye for an eye will make the whole world go blind." But an eye from a donor is Lakshmi's only chance to see the world. Even with all the marvels of modern science, there is no substitute for human corneal tissue. An estimated of 6.8 million blind people in India are blind due to corneal causes, out of which 1 million are bilaterally blind. Each year, 25,000 to 30,000 people are added to the list. The solution is to boost our eye banking practices. Eye banking in India is steadily gaining momentum. Despite roughly over 50,000 corneas collected each year, we perform around 28,000 keratoplasties per year, putting the utilization rate at 46%, which ranges from as high as 82% by well-performing eye banks to an abysmal 20% in certain eye banks. As per Vision 2020 India objectives, we need to perform 1 lakh keratoplasties per year. Increasing donor kin awareness and more recently HCRP are the focus areas of eye banking practice in India to improve the corneal collection. But there are still hurdles in achieving the targeted transplantation rate. It's time to re-examine our eye banking practices for optimizing utilization rate. Proper donor tissue processing, evaluation and allocation goes a long way in maximizing utilization. The work begins from the moment the eye bank receives a call from the donor kin. The family members are advised to keep the eyes closed with a wet cotton swab, switch the fan off and switch the AC on, which will help in protecting the eye till the eye bank team arrives to collect the eyes. Once in donor house, a thorough scan through the donor particulars with the focus on the following vital points is mandatory. Information regarding donor identity, age of donor, death to enucleation time and cause of death should be noted in all cases. Any age donor, provided the tissue is of acceptable quality, can be used. Death to enucleation time should ideally be less than 6 hours, or in some cases up to 12 hours is also acceptable. Eyeballs from donors with unknown cause of death, death due to septicemia or donor diseases which when contracted by the recipient could prove fatal, should be avoided for transplantation. The eye is enucleated under aseptic conditions. Let us now focus on the sequence of events that follows once the enucleated eye is received at the eye bank. We proceed to examine the donated eye. Whole globe should be warmed to room temperature before examination. Examine the condition of the container, check for excessive fluid and tissue swelling. Perform a gross examination and look for scleral lacerations, jaundice, foreign bodies, contamination, orbital tissue remnants, scleral perforations indicating a poor enucleation. We then proceed to evaluate the anterior segment under slit lamp. Examine the eye under diffuse illumination, then by a wide slit lamp beam at 20 to 30 degrees to scan the whole cornea. Note epithelial irregularity, foreign body, cysts or edema. Examine stroma for overall clarity, edema, infiltrate, scars, deposits, dystrophies and vascularization. Examine the Descemet membrane for tears, detachment, stress lines, Descemet folds and note its degree and extent. Note the endothelial status for overall integrity, dystrophies, guttae, vesicles or keratitic precipitates. Finally, observe carefully the iris, anterior chamber and lens status. A rating is given in terms of excellent, very good, good, fair or poor according to these attributes. Tissue with rating of upwards of good can be used for elective optical penetrating keratoplasty, whereas fair quality tissue can be used for therapeutic purposes. Thereafter, the eyeball is processed under laminar flow hood. The eye is cleaned by 3-ball method, once in betadine, then in antibiotic solution, finally rinsing it in saline solution. Conjunctival swab for culture sensitivity is taken from the surface and plated on nutrient agar. The corneal scleral button is excised keeping at least a 2 mm of scleral ream all around and transferred into preservation media. At this point, the corneal tissue could again be examined under slit lamp after keeping it for 1 hour in the media and then thawing back to room temperature. Look for color change in media, floating debris in media, and a slit examination of corneal layers to rule out any defects induced during processing. Endothelial counting is then performed on specular microscope. Count of more than 2000 cells per cubic millimeter is suitable for penetrating keratoplasty, and a specular count of more than 25,000 is appropriate for endothelial lamellar keratoplasties. Extreme polymechanism or pleomorphism, significant guttae are all contraindications for optical transplantation. Blood or serum sample is mandatorily checked for HIV, HPV, SCV and syphilis. The tissue is now ready for transplantation. With the tissue processed and evaluated, the responsibility lies in properly allocating the tissue for optimal usage. Let us now see some scenarios where we can fail. Situation 1. Most frequent dilemma is when you have a button graded upwards of good to very good during slit lamp evaluation and it turns out to have a low specular count. What to do now? Remember to always thaw the stored button for 1 hour in room temperature and then take specular counts. When in doubt, never base your decision on specular counts alone. Focus well and find a proper representative and central area on the button for counting. A reasonably good tissue on gross examination can be used for penetrating keratoplasty even with low specular counts. Situation 2. The next scenario is of a corneal button with a scar. A peripheral scar of about 2 mm or less with no surrounding inflammation can still be used for therapeutic purposes or patch grafts. Situation 3. Corneas with surgical scar. This button with an extracapsular cataract extraction scar and sutures occupying almost 1/3 of cornea can be used for patch grafts. These tissues need not be discarded. Similarly, corneas from post-plastic donors can also be used for endothelial keratoplasty. Situation 4. Edematous corneal button can be used for DALK or therapeutic penetrating keratoplasty. Wherever possible, age match the donor and the recipient. Despite an increasing trend in eye donation, we are not able to achieve ideal utilization rates. Improper eye banking practices could be a chink in the armor. We need to follow the highest standards of eye banking and optimally utilize the available tissue. We can save a lot of tissue going unutilized due to improper practice and help people like Lakshmi in seeing the world.